G'day everyone, welcome to another CSBP Fertilisers Market Update. Ben Sudlow, who loves fertiliser so much, he's offered a fertiliser conference this week, but standing in for him is Nick Pattrick, our product manager, who we've met before on the podcast in his role of running our production facilities, but now he's looking after our sales and operations planning, amongst other things. Of course, sales operations planning is vital for making sure that the product moves around our network, getting to the right place at the right time. Nick, tell us a little bit more about that.
Thanks, Gray. Yeah, so as a sales and operations planning team, our key tenet is to have the best reliability by having the right product at the right place at the right time. From our perspective, it's a really interesting time of the year because over the course of a 3 to 4 week period in mid-May to mid-June, our storage profile across the entire works can go from allocating roughly 200,000 tonnes of phosphate storage to doing a complete flip to having that all allocated to nitrogen-based products. So a lot of our focus is around making sure we have just enough phosphates in those works, but not too much, because if you have slightly too much, that could be the difference between you fitting a whole vessel into that works or not fitting it in, and ultimately can lead to regional shortages across the network.
So how are we going then? Have we got just enough but not too much?
In terms of cropping compounds, where we're at the moment is we do understand that the market might be short of compound products that have a percentage of phosphate above 16%. So what that means is products with a high percentage of MAP. We're very fortunate. We've got full availability of our Agras, Agstar, Agflow and NPK range. So what we push for growers to do is to have revisit of their seeding requirements at the moment and come in and collect because it's available across all works.
Okay, really good news there. And then in relation to global nitrogen, we talked to Ben last week. He mentioned that there were some signs that markets were kind of heading up, which is the opposite direction to where they'd been heading the previous 6 or so weeks. What's the update there?
Yeah, so last week Ben specifically spoke about Egypt and then that having an impact on the rest of the market and sort of the spot availability for June loading was shrinking away. Week to week, what that translated to was a roughly $16 to $20 Australian dollar price rise. This week has been particularly quiet because most of the buyers and sellers are currently at the International Fertiliser Association conference in Singapore. Heard a little bit of activity out of Egypt with some slight production reductions, but it's really hard to tell what impact that's going to have on the market until later in the week once everyone leaves the conference in Singapore.
Yeah, okay. And then in terms of CSBP and our urea management for the season, how's that shaping up?
So just to give the listeners an understanding of our network, so we have our 5 importing works from Geraldton, Kwinana, Bunbury, Albany and Esperance. And we've got a flurry of urea vessels on the water at the moment. Most of those have a minimum of 2 disports, but we've got a high degree of flexibility with where we place those vessels. And that's going to depend on the local demand, weather or congestion at those ports. This year, we feel we're going to need to be particularly flexible because as it stands, urea commitment is on the lower side, and what that could result in is a degree of market shortage come the later part of July. So we're really focused on making sure that we have urea available in the locations where we're seeing strong commitment at the moment.
Okay, on that bombshell, thank you, Nick, for joining us on the Market Update.
Thank you, Gray.
And thank you all out there in fertiliser world. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.
This podcast is provided as general information only. The content of this podcast is not a recommendation and has been prepared without taking your objectives or circumstances into account. Before acting on the content of this, you should consider its appropriateness to your circumstances and seek independent advice.